Yeah, when I was making the album, when I was making that first song, it was a riff that sort of in the headspace of Whom Gods Destroy, which had a lot of like heavy, low chromatic type of things. And that just bled into whatever I was making for the album. And got Simon in 2022, or he got us. And so that was just whatever was happening in life just becomes part of the music you're making. So when I made that song, and it just felt like, whenever I'm making instrumental music, I'm always picturing things like I'm scoring in this imaginary movie that no one else sees, or just something that happened, like a story you want to tell. It's like I'm making soundtracks to these things, and hopefully people get they see the same pictures. So you don't really, a lot of times, know what it's going to be, how it's going to come out. Sometimes you're just throwing paint at the canvas, and then halfway through it's like, all right, I see what it's becoming. And that's what happened with that first song, Simon in Space. I didn't have a name for it. I think, what did I call it? There's always just like some weird working title. I forget what it was. It was probably something like 7, because the intro is this weird rhythm of it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and if you follow the hands of the drums, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, and the snare is on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but the feet are dividing every beat into 4 little segments, which we would call 16th notes. So it's like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 5. And what it's doing is it's playing a shuffle, where normally a shuffle is a group of 6, where if you slow it down, it's like it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, 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 ba, boom. But this is doing it in 7. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 7 shuffle, not a common thing. So it's going. And it's doing that while the hands are staying on solid quarters, just the foot stomping. So it forms this weird kind of almost like a polyrhythm. And the music is following, like the low stuff is following what the low drums are doing, what the feet are doing. So it's going like boom, 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 doing this weird shuffle that all comes together and finishes once you've done 2 rounds of 7 with the hands. And it's just a very strange, chaotic thing. And then on top, I have almost like a theremin sounding guitar part. I should really, hang on one second, let's turn this on. I don't know if you're gonna get good sound through Zoom, but
okay.
Let's see. Ha 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 ha.
Well, we already tried my audio mishap, so we can try another.
Let's try. So I was making a lot of weird sounds using the Line 6 Helix pedal, which emulates every piece of guitar gear you can imagine. It's like every amplifier, every speaker cabinet, every setting on all those amps down to the bias of the tubes and the amount of hum the amp gets. If it's like an old amp, like all of that stuff, you could control the kind of microphone that's in front of it, the distance, the angle, everything. And it's just incredible. It completely it's a complete simulation of the guitar gear world all in one box. And with it, you can create routing that you can't do in the real world. You can have an expression pedal, just a pedal, like a wah pedal or a volume pedal, but you can have it where it changes the EQ, goes from one amp to another, makes reverb disappear, slows down a delay, like things that would take, this room would need to be full of gear and you'd need 10 people turning knobs simultaneously with each other to make that happen. Like, it's incredible what you can do. So with that, you can get very creative sound-wise. Let's tune this to, this tunes down to a low B, and Whom Gods Destroy, I have this particular sound in mind where a lot of the bottom foundation would be very offset and go into strange places, and guitars would be following it, doing this kind of guitar sound where it's tuned down plus a low, dirty octave on it. So that's the sound I use for a lot of the foundation guitar-wise in Whom Gods Destroy. And then the higher stuff, the vocals, what the hands are doing on the drums, was the more solid, steady stuff. So there would be a song that went, let's say here's the beat. The hands are going, bop, boom, boom, just straight AC/DC. But the feet are going like boom, boom, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop, boom, like all this offbeat stuff, and the guitars are following that. But the vocals are just going ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, ba, boom, da, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, and it's this weird, almost like an upside down cake, where instead of the icing being the off stuff on top of a solid foundation, it's flipped, and the foundation is like has all these off-center things, and the top is keeping it steady. So that was this thing that I was doing for Whom Gods Destroy, and that bled into the song Simon in Space. So on the bottom you have crazy stuff, and then on top of it I have almost like a theremin type sound of let's see if I could find, there it is. So it would be doing this thing where I'm hitting harmonics, and what I do is I hit a note, go to half the distance of the vibrating length of string, and if you touch it there, it gives you double the frequency, which we call an octave. Like that, and then I have a reverb that opens up on a delayed reaction to an even higher octave that I have offset left and right so that they're slightly out of pitch with each other and they tense up. And it sounds almost like it has that theremin-y sort of sound from like the Star Trek theme or something like that, like old school retro space stuff. So as the song was coming together and each part was going into each other part, there was the main melody where I'm playing everything with just one hand and just touching harmonics over them, and I have the sound being chopped up by an effect that just makes it sort of just boop, 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 boop. And in the background a reverse delay that repeats everything backwards a second later, off in the distance. So just really just fucking with sound. So that was like this whole then it went into another sound that was where I took two delays, where one repeats, a quick repeat on a 16th note, so you hit a note, you go bop, and it goes bop bop, just once, like that. And then after it, I take both of those and have them go what we call a dotted eighth note. It's like 3/4 of a beat, and it repeats a few times. So you have bop 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 bop, and then following that is a filter that reacts to the intensity of the note that makes it sort of whomp, like that. So with that, you end up with